Hey everybody. Sorry, this is like the fourth take because I got the cat on my lap who almost single-handedly devastated my microphone to begin with. I'm looking at you. He's on my lap now. He's all calm. But then he knocked it off the thing like three times just trying to make out with it. I don't know what's going on with this cat and objects. He's just kind of a weird cat. Um, he's Khan the Destroyer. Anyway, I just wanted to touch base, give you a face to associate with the voice I usually have in the gaming videos here. I'm also going to be doing a series where, just to let you know a little bit about myself, I'm really vested into truth and life in general. And what I mean by that, like what is important, the virtual world which we are both kind of living in and talking in right now. This is a second reality that is driven by lights, information, hearsay created by us, where truth can just be molded by a graphical interface. I mean, it's very interesting. I like playing hard games. So Spiral Knights, it's kind of hard. I've been playing it for so long though. Your biggest enemy is basically your own computer, frame rate, that kind of thing. My computer was built in like 1675, so I have my own issues. But besides that, Spiral Knights, Catacomb Kids, Wayward Souls, Children of Morta's kind of tough. I'm gonna eventually get back on there. We got anyway. I like playing tougher games, simpler ones. Just for momentary lapse. You'll hear me going to the referencing to the Bible here once in a while. I'm a Christian by nature, and I will gladly talk to anybody else of the same or differing opinions. As Neil deGrasse Tyson said, you cannot have civilization without communication. Just straight up. So you need to be invested in truth, right? You'll see this in our political realm when they're talking about the coronavirus. So what do? Unfortunately, the Democratic side, well, both sides really, but mostly the Democratic side is trying to politicize something, saying it's the president's fault, where it doesn't matter whose fault it is, let's just fix it. And that happened literally today. Today's February 28th, 2020, where a lady stood up to give a report and she's basically bashed the Trump administration. I'm into politics a little bit, but I just mainly listen to it. My main media outlets are Ben Shapiro and John Oliver. And to me, those represent the two main extremes when it comes to information from both sides. Highly intellectual and head-based thought and logic on Ben Shapiro's side. Highly heart and passion. You can tell by the way that he goes like ups and downs, right? John Oliver's just like happy, awesome, makes things funny, then suddenly deeply serious. Like just out of the blue, and it hits you really hard. So yeah, those are the most truthful mainstream media sides from both sides, progressive and conservative. All right, it seems like there is very little middle ground on the Democratic side, so I don't even know what to reference anymore when it comes to an outlet. But that's just the politics aside. For me, truth is vitally important, and if you value truth, if you value meaning, then you must pursue an absolute. If you do not believe in absolutes, well, that using the laws of logic, which are absolute, it quickly gets kind of debunked in itself. So what I'm trying to get at least in this intro one, when we talk about, I just want to reference on why do hard things? Why not? This is my main argument that has always been in the back of my mind for like auto target in games or aimbots. Why do things hard? Why not just have a button that you click and see you win? There's literally a game called Cookie Clicker. You can just click on it and you get points ad infinitum. Why is that? I think it honestly kind of like bounces with the perspective of like, I forgot to play my music. Oh, that's okay. We'll play it now. It bounces into the perspective of things got really dramatic all of a sudden. Was I just the volume? We are not automatons. You can say that if you live in a purely materialistic world, we are nothing but the time plus matter plus chance plus the electrons in our head. But we seek for more. We search for more constantly. You can see this everywhere. When is the last time you watched a movie where something incredible didn't happen? Where people just like, we all live, even in a victimhood society, which I can go on for a while. You have this kind of honor and respect for people that overcome. I mean, this is throughout history. And then in the movies, right? You got like Like Logan is probably one of my favorites ones in the past decade. How he overcomes even himself and goes against what he is saying he should do. That kind of thing. We this ability to overcome the automaton, the electronic impulses in us. You have stories about there was a train that got derailed, and the two parents hold up their child above their head who has cerebral palsy, push that child up into the hands of the rescuers, and then drown. Like, where is that in the instinctual, we must self-preserve, even though this child will not be able to overcome? Because you understand that sacrifice and, there's more depth and meaning because we are valued, right? Oftentimes, so one of the things I do in my life is I'm a martial arts instructor. I teach in Ishinryu is my skill set, rather my tool set. We're trying to learn a little bit about the dojo marketing business these days. When I started class, it was like 2 hours a day. Half-hour workouts, half-hour basic, half-hour fighting, and then theory, like maybe self-defense. That can't happen anymore. We have to segregate it, and it's like 45-minute classes. It's like a college course, honestly. It's pretty interesting. So one of the things I do is I teach this. And not only I have the kids' attention, I teach anywhere from like 6, maybe if they're mature, in our kids' class, all the way up to, I think the oldest person we have in there is like 52, 53, something like that. It's escaping me right now. But I teach these people, and I'll be like, hey, if I do push-ups, do you get stronger? Like this kind of reality is built into our system. No, you have to do it yourself. It is hard work, and it makes you stronger in the end. You take the concept of pain. Pain is, and I'm actually thinking about if I do write some sort of a book, because I've been researching this stuff for the past like 8 years of my life. If I do write a book, it's going to be on probably the philosophy of pain. Pain is either separation or threat of separation. One of the common questions to the Judeo-Christian worldview is, why does God allow so much pain and suffering? And if you look from a pure pantheistic standpoint, pantheism is like God is everything, God is all. If you look from a pure pantheistic standpoint, you see that if God is everything, God is all, you and I lose our meaning. We lose our definition. But we have something inside of us that says, no, a human being is important. There's value. And this is one of the biggest things people see in abortion. It's life. The question is not, she should have a choice. The question is, when is it okay to kill the innocent? Like, where do we draw that line? Because going through a birth canal does not mean you're suddenly a human. All right, they just rejected a bill, I think, of the government, the Democratic side specifically, and unfortunately, it's just how things are. So I'm not extremely biased against any side, but you can't help but see a certain flavor that goes on here and there. If a child is born alive through an abortion, the law was going to be you should help this child and bring it to life. Now it's just like, no, you stand back and let it die. As if it's not a person. When does it actually become a person? Because you say it is, I declare you a person. Well, that's the definition of genocide. I declare black people not people. I declare Jews not people. I declare white people not people. By the way, it was flipped around, the whole slavery thing, about 3,000 years ago. I think at the time of Joseph. Joseph, if you look in the biblical perspective, it was actually sold to black people. Black people would, as opposed to white people, right? I'm not trying to throw black people out there. Anyway, it's not the intersectional hierarchy. I don't believe in that. People are individual. You're made in the image of God. You have certain dignities about you. You're made specifically a certain way. That gives you value and meaning. There is only one you. Is it 2.3 or 3.2 billion bits of information make you up? So anyway. Let me digress, because I tend to rail a little bit unless I have a topic in front of me. This is meant to just kind of give you an idea about who I am and what I'm going to start talking about here. I teach martial arts. Just make sure my mic's working still, because this cat's just devastating. I'm like, if I do push-ups, do you get stronger? And they'd be like, no, that's silly. I'm like, absolutely. So that's actually a direct argument against socialism. If I work hard, should I give you my money? Well, maybe, right? We all live in a socialistic society when it comes to family values. I work hard. I have a wife and 2 kids and a cat. who destroys my things and throws up all over my floor. I was playing the game SimCity. I was trying to make a video of it, and then my mic cut out like 4 times, and I ran out of time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to talk into a mic for a minute. Because this cat kept knocking off my mic. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to name my city Cat Spit. How does that sound? He's not offended at all because he's a cat. Cats don't have the ability to process language in their minds, just sounds and movements. Maybe. We don't know what makes cats work. No one does. It's one of those mysteries of life. So I'm a martial arts instructor in one side. I'm also a lead in a warehouse. So those of you that have ever worked at warehouses, hello, fellow warehouse warriors. It is good to see you. I'm going to be, telling stories that I have, because one of the biggest things, I tried sales for a while. I can't do it. I'm highly relational, and I do like ongoing conversation, right? If you want answers to deep questions, they take longer than like 30 seconds. If I kick down a Lego house, how long does it take to build it up? Well, way longer than it took to kick it down, that's for sure. Just something to keep in mind. If you want meaningful, deep answers that the soul craves for, why are we here? Ravi Zacharias puts it very well when he says, there's 4 things you have to answer and have cohere together in order to have an established worldview. There's origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. And if they are conflicting, then your whole worldview either goes to insanity or you basically divide by 0 and then it becomes meaningless. Nietzsche had this problem when he was talking about the death of God. What happens if you get rid of all transcendence? What becomes transcendent? What gives meaning? Well, it's based on a personal opinion then. What is personal opinions? What does that have to do with reality? Well, whoever's opinion is strongest, you get the final say. You get the ultimate say. The thing is, we know that people die. So there is no ultimate say. It's constant like churning machine. And we actually do reduce ourselves to automatons if we think in that kind of perspective. So anyway, I'll be talking a bit about philosophy here. Any relevant topic you wish to hear, I'll definitely address it. I like talking about stuff. Interaction. One of the things I was thinking about doing is actually just going on like the Risk of Rain 2 chat and trying to... I tried this a couple times, but it's very tough because not everybody can do a complex motor function and still have coherent thought for longer than like 20 seconds. So, and they'll just talk over you, like the mutual respect is gone. But I would love to chat. I have people I talk with constantly over that are differing worldviews. I love hearing that. You need to hear that. If you only examine your side of the coin, and you don't allow your mind to be changed, you're not seeking truth. You're just seeking your own opinion. You need to examine and you have to allow your mind to be changed. If it is true. If you want to have it changed based on feeling, you're not seeking truth, you're not seeking purpose, you're not seeking transcendence, you're not looking at the laws of logic, you're just going on your own opinion. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, there's that. I also do the C.S. Lewis Institute. I'm in my 2nd year of that. It's basically like getting a doctorate in a year. You can look that up. It's a very in-depth study. I'm using my hand like you can see it. It's a very in-depth study of the Bible itself and apologetics and love and discipleship and everything that's meant to build up a Christian specifically. But there's a lot in there. And I'm also, I like reading books that are also on self-improvement. I'm reading, what's a book called? Extreme Ownership. It's a book that our company gives to, it's written by Navy SEALs that went through Iraq and Iran. And they're, how they overcame the challenges that they were presented. It's pretty nice. So anyway, I wanted to get this out there. I know this is kind of like 15 minutes of me just kind of blaring into the camera with a little Clockworks thing in the background. So I appreciate you listening. I do have a brief intro as to why I'm passionate about what I do. I was brought up in a Lutheran church, but I stopped going because it was very boring and dull and drab. The music was organs. So fast forward, 'cause I'll probably share a bit of my life story too as we go on. I got to the point in my life where I was about to get married, and I talked to my future wife, and I'm like, we should probably go to a church. Because when you get to that point, when you start upping it, and we can talk about the purpose of marriage too, and the exclusivity of love, and the generality of love too. There's different points there. you try to look for something better that can guide you, that can guide everybody, not just yourself and not just your family. It's the again, I'll bring this up. It's the Ten Commandments of the pen, right? Thou shalt not hold in an upright position. Thou shalt leave unclicked. Are those thou shalts meant to glorify me because I made the pen, or is it meant to have the pen used to its utmost potential? Just something to think about. So anyway, I started going to church. I'm like, oh, okay. I viewed it as my weekly therapy session, like most cultural Christians do. And then I had Jehovah's Witnesses knock on my door, and they said, we believe in Jesus too. I asked my pastor about them, and he said, they're wolves in sheep's clothing. Gave me 2 books to read, and I was just on fire about this stuff. I had no idea there was such a war of spirituality and coveting the soul and derivatives from Christianity. So it led me to read a whole lot of stuff to make sure. I want to know what was true. If atheism was true, why would I bother pursuing something else that would limit my personal pleasures? I've read like The God Delusion, Sam Harris's Moral Landscape. I can cut those apart. Pretty much the philosophy in there, again, goes to opinion. And it's oftentimes fueled by hate and mockery. Unfortunately, logic it's there, but it's inconsistent, it's incoherent. Origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. Those 4 things we were talking about, they don't really cohere. You eventually get to the one where it's origin. Well, we don't know. Meaning, there is no meaning. There's your divide by 0 right there. There's no meaning. Why are we pursuing anything else? So your worldview's nothingness. Nietzsche had Nietzsche took it to the nth degree. He's like, I'm not even sure if I can give language any reason for language to have meaning whatsoever, because it's just what I think it should be. I can reprogram it if I want. Really neat things to think about. So, anyway, that led me to read a book called The Kingdom of the Cults, about probably 3 times cover to cover, about any kind of religion and diversity from Christianity you could possibly think of, or any religion really, like Buddhism, Baha'i faith, The Case for Christ. The Essentials. I read the Bible daily just because I believe Jesus is so foreign to our carnality. It's almost as if he is supernatural. And that's usually debatable too, right? But you look at the culture coming up, and when they all exist for themselves, and you have Rome, which is just like I wouldn't say more barbaric, a simpler version of America. They were aborting children, or if they had their children, they couldn't afford them, they'd throw them off the cliff. People were divorcing each other constantly. Marriage lost meaning altogether. It ended in socialism. Like every single major civilization ends in socialism. So anyway, each one of these topics I can break down for like a whole hour or 2. I love talking with people, and that's usually where I get most of my experience. I love teaching. When I go to truth, if I find a book that's been debunked, I try to stay away from that kind of thing because, again, I'm going toward truth. We can talk about truth epistemology and how you know what is true also. Because one of the things is that's always thrown in my face, you can really, really never know anything. Well, if you throw that in there, that's first off a conflicting statement. You can never know anything. Well, how do you know that? You just made a truth claim. You can never know that. So if that's a truth claim, and you know that you can never know that, it just kind of goes in circles anyway. So I'll be talking about that in a minute. And I'll keep throwing game channels up here. Like Catacomb Kids is probably my number 1 favorite. I'll probably do some more Spiral Knights, Wayward Souls. Who knows what else I have up there. So anyway, click the like button. Let me know what you thought. Read the description below. I got some books. Oh, Cat, if you knock down this mic, I'm going to freaking throw you through the window. I'm just kidding. I love them. I couldn't do that. Let me know what you thought, and I got some apologetics books references in the description if you wish to pursue the same things that I do, and I'll keep rocking out some videos here. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys here. I'll see you next time. Take care.